Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I'm your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm delighted to welcome a well-respected, a well-known professional, and a coach from Hong Kong, Monica Zionede Hall. Monica, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Ash. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Monica is the founder and CEO of Feliz Consulting. She focuses on providing bespoke training, facilitation, and coaching. So, Monica, before we talk about Feliz Consulting, tell me about your journey and what was the inspiration to transition from corporate roles to founding Feliz?
All right. Well, Ash, thanks again for having me and this opportunity. I'm really excited. So how did I transition? Maybe I'll take a step back and share a little bit about my story. So
Mm.
I'm originally from Brazil, and I get a lot of questions usually. How did a Brazilian woman ended up in Hong Kong, in Asia, in 1999, doing corporate training and coaching and to top law firms and banks and financial industry
Mhm.
clients. And I came to Hong Kong as a student at Hong Kong University.
Mhm.
And I arrived in Hong Kong very raw, 18, 19 years old, and went to HKU. Also followed my boyfriend at the time who
Mhm.
got a job here. Turned out he's my husband, so it worked out 26 years. So happy story on that front as
Fantastic.
well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I came and I studied at HKU. I was the only Latina in that I could see in the whole school.
Hmm.
So talking about being a minority, I was the only one, and people were
Mm.
curious, but it was a bit of a culture shock for me coming from Brazil, never lived abroad. And I studied at HKU and then got a good job at Hong Kong University. I studied international relations and politics, and then I got a job at the um, English department, organizing creative writing events, and was very fun, rewarding. I got exposed to a lot of professors and scholars. But after a while in Hong Kong and in the university, I itched for more. And I didn't know what that more was.
Hmm.
But during a Brazilian party, a dinner party, we're chatting with other women, was only women in Hong Kong. This was early 2000s. Somebody approached me and said, I think you'd be a really great trainer and a really good coach. And I
Mm.
looked at her and I said, what is it? What
Hmm.
is it that you do?
Hmm.
And I wasn't familiar with the concept of coaching and corporate training.
Mm.
And she explained to me she had her established business and she opened the doors for me. And she said, I will train you, I will invest on you, and you can work with me. And this was in early 2000s. And it was amazing. And that was a little bit of a shift from working at the university to then discovering that I wanted to help people with their communication skills, their leadership, finding out their purpose with coaching and training. So I
Mm.
started still very raw and young, and but she invested in me, and that's when I really felt uh, okay, training and coaching is my thing.
Amazing.
Uh,
Amazing.
yeah, so that was the beginning, and
Correct.
we can get to Feliz, but
Yeah,
that was the
we will. But as they say, the rest is history, right?
yeah.
Wonderful.
So yeah, so
Wonderful.
that was it in the beginning, and then I can tell you more about Feliz. How did that happen?
Absolutely. So let's get straight to Feliz then. What has
Yes.
been the core mission when you started Feliz, and how has it evolved over the years?
Yeah, so I gave you a bit of a background of how I entered in coaching and training 20 plus years ago. And then I was in Hong Kong and then Singapore, back Hong Kong again, New York, back here, moving from corporate roles to freelance roles. But then when I came back to Hong Kong in
Mm.
2013, I got a full-on corporate job. Head of learning and developments in a compliance firm, very intense, and learned a lot, was thrown into the deep end of developing programs, coaching people. But I felt that being in-house, even though I was enjoying and I felt I was making a difference, I wanted to do more. And I wanted to help other organizations to grow from maybe a startup to develop their learning people, to their leaders, their managers. And I wanted to be exposed to different industries and different people, from individuals to corporates as well. So that's when I left my corporate job and told myself, okay, I'm ready to start Feliz Consulting. And I did, and kind of in the dark in a way, because where do you begin? Where do I begin? And I talked with a lot of connections, people around, and I think connections is what's really makes it special.
Mm.
Having lived in Hong Kong before and Singapore, and I met different people, and a big law firm, a big American law firm said, we would like to have you to do a presentation skills training.
Mm-hmm.
And so in a way, that's how Feliz was born. It was a bit of a, this client said, oh, I know you have a lot of experience with presentation skills, communication skills. Can you help develop our lawyers? So that was the beginning, with a mission to really help corporates and managers and individuals to communicate better, to present better, to become better managers. So that's was my purpose. This year's 10 years of Feliz Consulting.
But tell me, is there any meaning to the word Feliz, or is there any background to this name?
Yeah, good question, Ash. Yes, there is. So Feliz means happy in Portuguese.
Okay.
And because I'm from Brazil and I speak Portuguese as my native language, and I really feel happiness is the core of what I aim to do. So people can say, oh, KPIs and get more business and this, but we need to use more of a holistic approach, developing the teams, develop the leaders. Yes, meeting the targets, making more money, exceeding expectations, but how is our well-being? How is the happiness? So I think happiness, Feliz, really encompasses what I aim for.
Fascinating. And you were just telling me that you help executives with presentation skills and executive presence. Mm-hmm. Tell me more about this, and how do you customize some of the programs?
Yeah. People ask me, how do you design the programs? And I just read a lot, and I know you're an author of so many books, and I read a lot. I watch TED Talks. I listen to different podcasts, and then I take the nuggets and the best practice of different things, and kind of combine, and then create also my own flair, if you wish, of a Brazilian living in Asia and the US, and then I customize to the clients, and I always do my best to listen to what they want, and then create something that is meaningful to them and impactful, and then assess it and analyze afterwards. So that's like, I have a little bit of a methodology in like really listening, customize, and I also like things to be really practical to people, because I can give a lot of theories or go very academic, which is, it's not my style, but tell me, how does that make me a better person? How did that make me really have executive presence and show up with more confidence, with more gravitas for my meetings, for my interview? So that's what I aim to do.
And when you talk of executive presence, for my viewers and listeners, help me understand, how do you define executive presence? Because it's a very important thing we all must have.
Yes, for sure. So I looked at a few elements of executive presence. So first, I talk about your mindset. First, to develop any presence, we need to work on our mindset and believing in ourselves, instead of letting the imposter syndrome take over. And then we talk about first impressions. The second thing, how first impressions matter. And we sometimes feel like, oh yeah, but I can't be bothered. Oh, I don't have time. Oh, it's not my priority. Well, if we want to develop our executive presence, that's crucial. Oh, balloons on our video. And then the third one is your personal branding. And I have 3 elements of personal branding. You as a brand, the value you add, and other people seeing this value. Because if I think I'm great, like if you think you're great, right, Ash, and I think it, but nobody else does, we're not developing a branding.
Correct.
And then the fourth element, which wraps it up, is our communication skills. Visual, vocal, and verbal, body language, showing up, posture, eye contact, a bit of everything. So in my programs that range from half day to a full day, depending on the string is as long as you want it to be. We focus on these four elements, sometimes just raising awareness. Other times, what I prefer is when we can really practice and do body language and gestures, and people can show up and thinking of, okay, what is my mindset? How is my first impression branding and this communication and wrapping it to make an impact?
Great response. Great response. Thank you. You also have your MUDS framework, which is managing up, down, and sideways. Tell me about this a little bit and give me an example if you can.
Yeah, sure. I love how you really went through I have over 20 topics, and a lot of them I still customize to clients, but there are some staple ones, which is MUDs, and clients love the names as well, because it's, even though it sounds dirty and messy, it's actually very powerful. So managing up, down, and sideways. So in a nutshell, what I aim to do is for participants to look, when we're thinking of managing up, we are prioritizing. And I know you have a lot of experience in the corporate world before your podcast. Managing down, delegating. How are we delegating? Are we specific? Are we clear? Are we empathetic? Are we concise? And then managing sideways, which is, would you like to guess?
No, I'll let you take the first word for it.
It's managing sideways is about collaboration.
Right.
So how do we collaborate? So I think it really helps clients apply this. So when they're managing key stakeholders, if a junior lawyer is managing a partner, knowing that, okay, my first response is the partner. I need to answer to his questions. But then if he or she is delegating to a secretary, and he just say, oh, can you get the report done? That's very broad. So can you get the report done with this as a model by 5 p.m. Hong Kong time? So how can we be more specific? The nuances of language make a big difference in being a better manager, be it up, down, and sideways. So those are the things that and then they apply as well. So there is some scenarios, and then they discuss. Some are a little bit messier, some are more straightforward. So that's how I do the MUDs session.
I love this managing up, down, and sideways, and your acronym MUDs. Thank you. Moving on, tell me about the thinking behind your focus on virtual meeting energy, and why is it crucial today?
Yeah, I mean, this is a course that came up from a request of a client, actually. Around COVID times, the client said, oh, how do we manage people? There is a Zoom fatigue, and so too many meetings back to back. So I developed this program for a client, which became very popular. I think since then, people have become better at managing. But it's a little bit about your own skills, managing how many meetings even you schedule, how many video call meetings you schedule or not, because sometimes it's okay and it's better not to have the camera on, because we get more tired to focus. And just creating space between so many meetings. How is so I call it energy, and may sound a little bit woohoo granola, but I think nowadays we're more open to different terms like that. And I feel it's so important. How do we manage our well-being with so many meetings? So usually I create a space of this program for people to share a bit, and also to reflect that it's okay not to have camera on all the time, managing also your meetings, sometimes booking 45 minutes instead of an hour to create buffer space between the next meeting, or 25 minutes instead of 30 minutes. That already can help manage your energy. Having a 3 minutes walk in between meetings, or mindful breathing for 1 minute. So some techniques to help literally manage our energy during
Yeah.
virtual meetings.
Very well said. Thank you.
Thank you.
What makes emotional intelligence and mindfulness effective when it comes to high pressure situations most of us face in our lives?
Yeah, Ash. I mean, this is one of the programs I love all my programs, but this
Mhm.
is one that I feel more corporates need.
Mm.
But I'm very happy to see the progress we've made to like 20 plus years ago when I started, the word emotional intelligence,
Mm.
empathy would not be on
Yeah.
the leadership,
Mm.
right? Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it wouldn't be part of the conversation.
Correct.
And now when we talk about leadership, emotional intelligence is on the top list.
Correct.
How does a leader manage with self-awareness, with empathy, with
Mm.
social skills, right? So, and even yesterday I was doing facilitation for a financial client,
Mhm.
and we had 9 leaders and 1 director, and we did
Mm.
an exercise where they put their strengths on the wall based on a psychometrical test,
Mm.
and a lot of the strengths were empathy,
Mm.
caring, right? So that's I think really important. I think it makes leaders gain perspective when conflicts arise,
Mm.
makes them better decision makers to slow down and look at different things before reacting.
Mm.
So that's the whole idea with emotional intelligence and mindfulness, to non-judgmentally slow down, gain perspective, and make better decisions, and also be better people at home as
Yeah.
well, better husbands, partners, and parents, and leaders as well. I think it makes
Mm.
people better, and I'm happy to see more corporates incorporating this into their training and people
Very
development.
interesting. Very interesting. Thank you. You're also, you also do a lot of one-on-one coaching.
I do.
Tell me a little bit more, and if you can give me an example of a transformation that you have witnessed, and I don't want any names, of course.
Yes, no, I wouldn't be able to
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
confidentiality reasons. But yeah, so I would say 30-40% of my business is coaching,
Hmm.
and it's not more is training, but coaching takes real investment in people's wanting to do it. I
Hmm.
think that's the first thing. They want to invest. It's not cheap, and it's an investment of their time and my time. And I work in different kinds of coaching. Sometimes it's about improving or developing a certain skill. So
Hmm.
I do a lot of coaching program that I created called PSC,
Hmm.
Presentation Skills Coaching,
Hmm.
where I do 8 to 12 sessions, and we work on first the mindset and the limiting beliefs, and then some practical skills to help that person, the coachee, overcome and practice and come alive.
Hmm.
Uh, and a few years ago, I worked for a Swedish company, and I had a coachee. That's the person who comes to mind.
Hmm.
And she would cry about thinking of presentation skills.
Hmm.
She would be like, I can't. And we work on some of her limiting beliefs, her breathing, but I also suggested she to do other things outside my coaching for her
Uh-huh.
own development. There was some other blockages I believe that were there.
Hmm.
And we worked through her limiting beliefs. We worked through her skills. We practiced. I videotaped her many times.
Hmm.
We probably had 18, 20 sessions
Hmm.
over a period of a year and a half.
Hmm.
But she has become so much more confident in first in herself
Right.
and her abilities to present and communicate. And she has also been promoted in the company. She's still
Wonderful.
in the same company. She is a senior director now. And I still keep in touch with my clients. We met about 3 months ago for coffee. She's pregnant. So she's also like developing confidence in different areas. So
Oh,
this is one
fascinating.
example. There, of course,
Yeah.
others
There will be many more. Yeah.
transformational
Yeah.
in different ways, but
Yeah.
this is one that
Very
I felt, and I felt proud that of
correct.
my work too, and of
Absolutely.
her.
Fascinating. You also talk about psychological safety. What does this mean in practice for teams?
All right. Well, this is a wonderful question. And I'm the only team psychological safety master facilitator in Hong Kong. There are 19 worldwide from a program developed by Dr. Peter Cavalier based on the work of Dr. Amy Edmondson,
Mm-hmm.
the founder of psychological safety. And actually, a lot of people have a misconception about psychological safety as being just, oh, this is well-being, everything is okay. And it's actually a lot deeper.
Mm.
Team psychological safety is the foundation for team learning and for team performance.
Mm.
It's actually the basis of what makes a team thrive and flourish. And I could go on, but in a nutshell, there are 7 elements of what I call TPS, Team Psychological Safety, developed by Dr. Amy Edmondson, such as appreciation, mutual support, taking risks. And the way I work is we have an assessment, a report that look into the elements of a team, not a problem. It's not like, oh, I'm bad at this. It's not a report that assess how good or bad you are. We are looking at the team psychological safety, the teams, how they show up and how they can show up even better at work. So that's, and I've been doing a lot on psychological safety. And I think more and more companies are interested in it since the Project Aristotle that Google did to find out what makes a perfect team. And Google researched over 180 teams, over 2,000 people, and found out that the number one element that made teams thrive is psychological safety. So,
Thank you. Thank you. Monica, I have time for 2 more questions, and these are both for you now. How do you balance the intensity of your professional commitments with your personal well-being?
Oh, the question of questions, right? Is there a work-life balance?
Yeah.
How do we find our balance and well-being? So Ash, I try to walk the talk. When I talk about mindfulness, I practice daily for 10 minutes. I use an app called Calm. Every morning I do 10 minutes. This morning I did. And I have a gratitude practice of 3 things I do in the morning. What am I grateful for? What is the most important thing I need to do? And how do I want to show up at work today? Those things help me. And then I have 3 questions at the end of the day. And I exercise often. I love playing pickleball. I do yoga. I'm dabbling with running. And so meditating, yoga and pickleball and gym. I make space for my friends. I prioritize relationships, family and friends. I try to do it in a way like, you have a business meeting and or your podcast, you put it on a schedule. I also put my friends on my schedule. So there's no excuse. So it's not like, oh, I will fit you in. No. Let's block time for ourselves. So that's how I try, but it's not always easy. Sometimes it's kind of overwhelming. Like right now, I have 2 kids, and one is in university in Amsterdam. She's loving it. The other is in the US, and I just dropped him. So I'm officially an empty nester.
Correct.
So the empty nesting is another well-being story. You need to have a podcast on how to navigate empty nesting.
I know.
But yeah, and I think also loving what I do, I think it's so important for people to reflect on what do they love doing, because you don't want your job and your personal life to be too opposites and distant, because then it's hard to balance. Whereas I find I love my job, I love socializing. So I try to keep that balance. Sometimes it dips, but I try to.
Amazing. And clearly, you seem to have managed every minute of your time very, very effectively because you're doing so many different things. But on that note, Monica, I just want to say thank you so much for speaking to me about your own incredible journey. I think we covered some fascinating ground about the work you're doing at
Yeah.
Feliz. I loved your MUDS, the Managing Up, Down, and Sideways program. You told us about your virtual meeting energy, and then you were telling us about the psychological safety kind of work that you're doing for teams.
No.
And you also mentioned you're only one of 19 people in the world. Thank
Yes.
you again for speaking to me, and all the very best to you.
Thank you so much, Ash, and I hope your viewers enjoy it. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.